A very good morning to one and all present here. American author and social activist Grace Lee Boggs once said, "You cannot change any society unless you take responsibility for it, unless you see yourself as belonging to it and responsible for changing it." The truth of these words is seen today as many talented young leaders have assembled here to initiate a positive change for a better tomorrow.
We, the Secretariat, Arnav Deshpande, the Secretary General, Shashwati Deshmukh, the Deputy Secretary General, and Jayantya Khemani, the Under Secretary General, welcome you to the 9th edition of the Annual World Summit, a platform to simulate, enhance, and reciprocate cooperation, diplomacy, and refine the skills of young delegates to take on global challenges. Considering the extraordinary circumstances that we are facing in the world today, the summit has been taken online. But what remains the same is the zeal and commitment to the cause of humanity. In fact, we have witnessed the virtue of resilience in individuals, families, communities, and organizations.
This event would not have been a possibility if not for the constant support of our founder trustee, Shri Suresh Bhai Oza, managing trustee, Shri Jairaj Thakkar, trustees, Srimati Urvashi Thakkar, Shri Jayesh Thakkar, Srimati Shivangi Thakkar, Shri Sujay Jairaj, and Srimati Meenal Thakkar. Senior advisor, Srimati Josephine Vas, principal, Srimati Zeenath Bojaboy, head of Jamnabai Narsi International School, Srimati Jasmine Madani and team. Chief guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Rahul Bose. Esteemed alumnus, Mr. Ronak Kapoor. Senior Vice Principal and IC Coordinator, Srimati Rosalind Athai. Vice Principal and Assistant IC Coordinator, Srimati Kalpana Patange. Vice Principal, Srimati Rekha Nayak. Headmistresses, Ms. Sonali Gandhi and Ms. Sarita Singh. Head of Pre-Primary, Ms. Juhi Yajnik.
Admin managers, Mr. Sanjay Lad and Mr. Firdaus Lala, PTA Vice Chairperson, Mr. Manan Doshi and team. JNAA President, Ms. Atashi Patel and team. Fire coordinators of grade 11 and 12, Ms. Pamela Costello and Mr. Abhay Singh. Teachers, Executive Board, Organizing Committee, and delegates of the Annual World Summit 2020. Our hearts are changed and renewed by the grace of the Almighty. On this occasion, let us invoke His blessings.
Lord, I've come to you, let my heart be changed, renewed, flowing from the grace that I found in you. Lord, I've come to know the weaknesses I see in me will be stripped away by the power of your love. Hold me close, let your love surround me. Bring me near, draw me to your side. And as I wait, I rise up like the eagle, and I will soar with you. Your spirit leads me on in the power of your love.
I now invite Principal Srimati Zeenat Bojaboy to deliver the welcome address.
A very good morning to each one of you present here today. We welcome you to the 9th edition of the Annual World Summit organized by the ISC section of Jamnabai Narsi School. We are very happy that each one of you, each participant has a unique mind. Every view, every opinion, every thought is appreciated. But as 16 and 17-year-olds, please remember that do not misuse your freedom of speech. We all need to understand that we should not cross our boundaries. There are 3 traits that you need to work on: introspection, reflection, and action. Let us look only at the positive side of everything. This lockdown period was not a lockdown for us. It was a looking up period. Challenges are many. Situations, the new normal that we are talking about, we don't know how many new normals you will come across. But you need to build your adaptability quotient and adversity quotient. Whatever you think, whatever you say, has to be in the interest of the world community. We cannot think only of me, myself. Today, it is this pandemic. It is the climate change that we are battling. We do not know what tomorrow will bring to us. But we need to be bold. We need to build our resilience. The world belongs to you, children. Take inspiration from the elders around you. Have good role models. Teamwork should be the key term. You need to work as a team for the benefit of the world community. So whatever you discuss, whatever you put forth, please keep in mind that you do not hurt anyone's sentiments. Everyone's views and thoughts are right. There is no wrong. It is how you perceive things, your perception, that will take the world ahead. Today's world demands knowledge in artificial intelligence. You are working with so many gadgets around you, but don't let the humane quotient die. We are all human beings. We are all living beings. Care and concern for one another is very, very important. Another important thing, please remember, what is the slogan we need to work on? Come, see, conquer. What is the most important thing you are going to conquer? You are going to conquer isolation. We will not isolate ourselves. We will live happily in solitude. Follow what you are passionate about. Don't isolate yourself from the others. We will remain happy. We will remain peaceful. And we will do everything that keeps the human world happy. Thank you. God bless you. And all the best for the Annual World Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Srimati Zeenat Bojaboy, for your constant encouragement in all our endeavors in school and now virtually.
I request our trustee, Shri Sujay Jairaj, to share his valuable thoughts and inputs with us.
Respected Principal JNS, Mrs. Zeenat Bojaboy, Head of School, JNIS, Mrs. Jasmine Madani, co-team members of the school, chief guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Rahul Bose, parents, and dear students. A very good morning to each one of you. These are unforeseen times for each one of us, and I will not say that they are difficult or they are easy, as it is very relative to how each one of us experience any opportunity or challenge in our lives, and more importantly, how each one of us prepare, respond, and make ourselves overcome these challenges. Here, I completely agree with the theme of this annual World Summit, which is Come, See, and Conquer. And I would like to add that dream, believe, work very hard to achieve those dreams, and never give up. If you are passionate about what you are doing and follow the right value system with the right intent, dear students, the world is yours to conquer. Wishing each one of you the very best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It is because of visionaries like you that we could take AWS to the virtual world. Dance is the hidden language of the soul, which has the ability to express 1,000 emotions. The students of Standard 11 will now present a dance.
छबीली उसदे चंचल नैन कटा और चंचल नैन कटार ते उसदा रूप बना हथियार उसके रूप से कत्ल हुए तो चर्चा शुरू हुआ नगाड़ा 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 बजा नगाड़ा नगाड़ा नगाड़ा
We will now present the theme song of the annual World Summit, Come, See, Conquer, written and composed by our esteemed alumnus Arman Malik.
When the funds are low and the debts are high and you wanna smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must but don't you quit. Come see and conquer your passions now. Divided we fall, united we stand tall.
Hey everyone, this is Arman Malik. I was 18 when I wrote this song for AWS with a couple of my classmates at the time, and just singing it brings back so many memories. I know the times and circumstances are entirely different from what it should have been, but that's what makes this year's event even more important and special than before. Always remember, divided we fall, united we stand tall. Best of luck to everyone. Have an amazing AWS 2020. And I just want to say, enjoy ISC. It was the best time of my life and I really miss it. So make the most of it. Lots of love.
When you feel that you have the will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when you feel that you have the will, and everything seems to come to Come see, conquer your passions now. Divided we fall, united we stand tall. You've gotta think high to rise. You've gotta be sure before you win the prize. The battles of fight aren't always won. But it's stronger or the faster one. Sooner or later, the ones who win, the ones who think they can. When carrots pressing you down a bit, rest of you must, but don't you quit. Come see, conquer your passions now. Divided we fall, united we stand tall. There's no greater dignity than this. Everywhere a sense of sovereignty, and you can never doubt those you are. It may be near when it seems so far. Success is failure turned inside out. Silver tinge on clouds of doubt. When carrots pressing you down a bit, rest of you must, but don't you quit. Come see, conquer your passions now. Divided we fall, united we stand tall. United we stand tall. United we stand tall.
We invite Vice Principal and Assistant ISC Coordinator, Srimati Kalpana Patange, to introduce Chief Guest, Mr. Rahul Bose.
Called the Indian Art House Icon by Time magazine, Mr. Rahul Bose won the Best Actor Award at the Singapore Film Festival in 2000 and the runner-up prize, the John Schlesinger Award for Best Debut Director in 2002 for Everybody Says I'm Fine. His awards include Indian Youth Icon of the Year, Social Justice, the Green Globe Award for Climate Change, the Lieutenant Governor's Commendation Award for Services to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the Hakim Khan Sur Award for National Integration, and GQ's Man of the Year for Social Justice. In 2017, Mr. Bose directed and produced his second film, Purna. The film won 2 awards at festivals in Melbourne and Dublin. He has lectured on leadership, gender justice, cinema at Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge and MIT, amongst others. Indian rugby's most recognizable face, Mr. Bose, represented India playing 17 internationals from 1998 to 2009. He has founded 2 NGOs, the Foundation, dedicated to the equalization of opportunity through education, and HEAL, working to prevent child sexual abuse. Most recently, Mr. Bose acted in the lead roles of a major Netflix series as well as an original motion picture also for Netflix. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Srimati Patange. Welcome, Mr. Rahul Bose, and thank you for gracing this occasion with your presence. Mr. Bose will now address the delegates in collaboration with Mr. Ronak Kapoor. Mr. Ronak Kapoor is no stranger to the JNS stage. an alumnus of the ICSE batch of 2006. He was an avid debater, actor and munner during his schooling days. After completing his LLB from Government Law College, he went on to pursue his passion of becoming a sports presenter and broadcaster, working first with the All India Radio and subsequently with the ESPN network, both online and on television. He's covered major international sporting tournaments, having worked with some of the biggest names in sport along the way. He served as the president of the school's Alumni Association from 2012 to 2019.
We've heard all these words like unprecedented times and new normal so often, it's almost become old to hear this term new normal. But perhaps it is a reflection of these times that this time of year when Jamnabai has the annual World Summit for the high school students across the city, and we've inaugurated this summit many often in the past with Rahul Bose in person. But this time the new normal dictates and suggests that we put on our suits in our living rooms, which Rahul boasts of a fancier one than mine. And here we are now to chit chat about how all of you watching us can perhaps take a few lessons from this lockdown, take it forward in life, in school, in college, in career opportunities, personally, professionally going forward. And who better to talk to than Rahul Bose, who of course needs very little introduction. So Rahul, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much for agreeing to do this. It's a very special relationship that you have with Jamnabai. And I'm very happy that it continues even in these bizarre times.
I think we also have a special friendship, Ronak. We've always gotten along. We might not meet that often, but we've always gotten along like a house on fire when we meet. Yeah. So it's a double pleasure to do this.
Oh, I'm humbled that you say that. And yeah, let's make the most of this. In fact, before we started this recording, Rahul and me were going on and on about tennis and about cricket, and we can have long conversations on sport. Maybe one of the things I will talk to you in a little while from now is, all these 11th and 12th standard ISC students, high school students are so used to the outdoors. I don't know if they're itching to go back or if that's going to be a complex change. You're a sportsman yourself. I'll come later, but let's just talk about what the lockdowns meant and, what you've perhaps learned personally from it that you think can, something that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, and you can help, that'll help you taking things forward.
So look, I'm 53, so I don't think my learnings will be anywhere close to what the student body that is listening to this will really benefit from. So let me try and say something to them that hopefully will make more sense to them, to their lives at the age of 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think the lockdown has given us a moment for all of the students to ask themselves, what do you miss? In these 5 months, what have you missed? Who do you miss? I'll tell you what I mean by this. What do I miss? When life is normal, you just take things for granted. But when life isn't, you have to ask and maybe you might be thinking, when life was normal, I just want to get onto my phone. I want to get onto a chat. I want to play a game. I want my parents to leave me alone. I don't want them to ask questions. I know I have to study. I'll do that. Why do I have to go to so-and-so uncle's place to have dinner? Why do I have to go to this function?
Yeah.
But when times come when you don't have to do any of this, when in fact your parents understand that your phone is keeping you sane because that's the only contact you have with the outside world, so they can't stop all of that. When that time comes, when you've been told you can have all the dessert you want to, basically, you can do everything you always wanted to, what do you miss? What is that while you're gorging yourself on chocolate mousse and chocolate cake and chocolate brownie, so to speak, in terms of your life, have you missed a dish that you were forced to eat earlier that now seems wonderful to you?
No.
Do you miss a dish that you used to like, but obviously you like chocolate more, but now you crave it? Is it the outdoors? Is it a particular holiday that you guys used to take? Is it a particular place you and your friend went to cycling in Bombay once a year in the rains? What do you miss? And when you can think about 3 or 4 things that you really miss, and you don't have to say it to anybody, just say it to yourself, ask yourself, why do you miss it? Did you miss the physical contact with someone? Did you miss just the idea of seeing someone laughing at your joke in person as opposed to somebody laughing at your joke on a screen. After the 25,000 texts that you've shared with somebody, which you would do on any normal day, it's always topped off with a meeting. It's always sweetened or closed with a final meeting that you meet at the party, or you meet at the club, or you meet at a certain get together. Just by itself, the online stuff, how long before you started to miss that? And I think that's the first point I just want to put in all of your minds. Then I want to ask you, when you think of somebody, your friend, your girlfriend, your mother, anybody who you haven't been in touch with for these last 5 months, what is it that you miss about them? You can get advice, you can get laughter, you can get a little bit of romance if you must. You can get critiques of films, and you can discuss football. All of that is happening. So what is it that the physical presence of someone in front of you adds? And if it does add something, what is it? I'm going to try and venture a guess here. To really understand how somebody has received your joke, as you tell the joke, you're thinking, is she being polite while she's listening to this? Are those three people actually walking away because they don't think my joke's going to be funny? And is the laughter at the end authentic, spontaneous, real, slightly forced, very forced, or it isn't there at all? And it's in those things, when you actually are in physical proximity to somebody, that body language is the giveaway. Somebody shifts their leg position in the middle of your joke.
Sure.
As opposed to somebody being transfixed and saying, what happened next, dude? What did you do next? So I think emotional intelligence also is something that derives its feedback from people's body language, from people's eye language, from people's head language, So it's all of that that makes life richer, that makes affection, approval, popularity, criticism, all these colors become more vivid because you're not just responding to the words that are being typed out on a screen, or a two-dimensional Ronak Kapoor who I can see nodding his head, as opposed to maybe with his left hand right now, he is quickly scrolling down the IPL, the latest news on the IPL, which he has to put onto ESPN very quickly. So it's all of that. Do you have that person's undivided attention? And finally, and maybe I'm getting too deep with this, Ronak, but I think finally, let's talk about honesty for a moment.
Why not?
This IPL example came to that. True honesty, true respect, it could just be friends, comes from being present. I'm here for you, dude. Dude, I'm here for you. Whether I hug you, whether I'm sitting next to you, whether we are just going for a walk and not talking to each other, I am here for you. And don't tell me no boy and no girl hasn't felt a moment when you want someone there. Don't say anything, dude. Just shut up and listen to me. I just want to vent right now, whatever it might be. That person is there for you. That person is not looking into a screen saying, I'm here for you. I hear your pain. It's like, listen, when we are in deep moments of pleasure, I'm coming over.
Yeah.
I just won this competition, I'm coming over. Or deep moments of pain. Things are so messed up at home, I'm coming over.
Yeah.
Why do we say that? Because we're looking at that moment where people will be present with us, and we can count on their presence as the deepest faith of their loyalty, their honesty, their affection, and their love for us. So my first question was, what do you miss?
Yeah. Sure.
And I'm just trying to take all of you boys and girls down the road of ask yourself what you miss and why. And these ideas I've planted after that, is there any truth in any of this?
I think it's lovely what you just said towards the end. And I think I'm going to take off from there. I guess to some degree, I'm sure even those watching us now have tried to resume some level of normalcy. I'm sure you're meeting friends more often now than you were in, say, April or May. And you're meeting family, and the physical interaction has perhaps started to resume, albeit with caution. But the one thing that hasn't resumed is school, right? Now, for a lot of you in grade 11, you're missing out on a glorious 2 years, right, of high school. It doesn't come back. There'll be school and there'll be college, but missing out. And maybe this is going to go on for a year. I don't know how long it'll be before physical school actually resumes. So I'm trying to think of what is it that you would have. What's your biggest question right now? When Rahul says something like expressing that you're there for someone, I think there would be those that would have felt a tremendous sense of isolation, a tremendous sense of loneliness, because for a lot of people, I think physically being with each other is important. And it takes me to an aspect that I think becomes relevant in any discussion, no matter what you discuss, is the mental well-being of people. And recent incidents, time and time again, it doesn't take a high-profile incident for us to reignite our attention towards the importance of mental health. And for the best of us, this has been hard. It's one thing to say it. Yes, we've all tried to reassess priorities. If that's one way of saying we don't need as much to be happy, but that's for someone who looks at it that way. I think there's a real challenge, Rahul, and how much you agree with me, that kids at grade 11, grade 12, 16, 17, just finding themselves suddenly are thrown into this bubble of isolation where you're supposed to spend time at home. On one hand, it's great spending time with mom and dad. On the other hand, geez, I don't think any of us would have spent time with mom and dad at age 16, 17 for this long. And I don't know if that's something we would have wanted. So now I'm trying to understand, how do you come out of this, keeping your emotions, keeping your mental well-being to the best of its capacity?
So, I've always asked myself this question: who is a mentally healthy person?
Sure.
Is there anybody mentally healthy? Is there anybody mentally perfectly healthy?
Yeah.
So we all have moments. Lose your temper, Djokovic gets thrown out of the US Open.
Yeah.
Beckham gets red carded at the World Cup.
Yeah.
So that sheet of anger, loneliness, which sometimes can be more cruel than 10 people laughing at you in a party. The idea that you're alone and that you don't matter and that you can't reach out, that can be a big, big factor in the deterioration of your health. So there are many aspects to mental health, especially the age that the boys and girls in school are. It's also popularity.
Sure.
It's also attractiveness. Oh God, I have 3 pimples on my cheek. I have to go out and for this birthday party, what do I do? Or I don't have the right thing to wear. You know how it is. It's, I know how it was when I was 16 and 17. So here's one solid key to unlock any of this whenever you feel it. And the key is this. I might have said this to you guys before. I might have said it to your predecessors in that school, or I might have said it in some other school, because I've been to over 200-300 schools in the country. What would you hope that your best friend says about you at your funeral or your burial?
That's deep, isn't it? Yeah.
All of you have some best friend. Keep him or her in mind. My best friend is a guy called Nasir. What would I hope Nasir says about me when I die, at my funeral or my burial, whatever I believe in? Now, I hope that Nasir says about me that Rahul was a great friend. He was always there for me. I hope Nasir says Rahul always gave me the right advice. Like, he didn't bullshit me. He told me the way it was. And dude, he was damn generous. Like, there was never a question of who's going to pay for what or whatever. He was generous. So what am I articulating? Rahul was a really good friend means what? That I was loyal, that I was a person who he could talk to when he had trouble, that if he needed any help, I would come to his rescue. So the qualities that I hope Nasir will recognize in me are, of course, generosity, the last one, helpfulness, loyalty, and truth.
Yeah.
The guy was when it came down to the crunch, he never lied to me.
Yeah.
These, Ronak, are the qualities that actually I hold dearest to myself, which is why I hope my best friend says this about me at my funeral. So if you, in 5.5 months, haven't asked yourself this question, which I bet you haven't, because most people in the world don't, ask yourself, what are the 3 qualities that are most important to you to be recognized for? And the way to do that is if you ask yourself, what would my best friend say? 3 good things they'll say about me.
Yeah.
Now, if you want them to say that you were truthful, kind, and loyal, then it obviously means that you should be a truthful, kind, and loyal person. Not all the time, not when you're going to the loo to be truthful, kind, and loyal. You know what I mean? It's at the important moments in life. If you want to be remembered when you die as a truthful, kind, loyal dude, then you got to be a person who's truthful, kind, and loyal to your friends at the important times in their lives. So basically what I'm saying is, if there are three things really important to you and you practice them when needed, you hold your territory firm at those times, then no matter what happens during this pandemic, you can't exercise, you can't play, you can't meet friends, your parents don't understand you, everyone's getting on your nerves, etc., etc. You will know that whatever people say about you, this they can't take away from you. That's the first step. That's the rock. That's the rock on which you build your personality. After that, the other stuff, Ronak, and I know you were asking me, more lighter stuff, like how do you deal with this? My building was shut I was in a containment area. I'm in Wadli Prabhadevi. So for 2 months, we couldn't step out of the building. So I climbed these floors. I have a 6-story building, classic 1980s kind of old building, tiny stairwell. And I climbed 6 stories 40 times a day. I used to climb 240 floors, and I climbed Everest in 15 days. That's 30,000 feet. That's 300 floors. 3,000 floors. The point I'm trying to make is this. When the eggs are broken, make an omelette. Whatever makes you happy. You want to compose music? Dude, you have all the software. Start composing. You want to learn how to play the guitar? My niece's friend learned online how to play the guitar. There's so much that you guys can do sitting at home. I know a friend of mine whose son made a short film with 3 other guys, one in Manipur, one in Nepal, one here. They made a short film on loneliness and mental health, sitting in their individual homes and, networking and stuff like that. So as far as I'm concerned, it is the best time. These years are the best, Ronak, in my time. Forget about your time. Forget about my time. Even in your time, if there was a pandemic, you would have died of boredom. We didn't have the connectivity and the massive online, from games online to learning how to use the Hubble telescope online. What is not available to anybody online? So it's extraordinary. The only other thing I wanted to say was, no matter what happens through this pandemic, remember how you felt and never lie to yourself. To yourself, you can lie to everybody else. Please, I'm not asking you to lie to everybody else. What I mean is, at a pinch, when you're not showing oh no, I wasn't scared or whatever it is. Remember, girls, remember that the only thing that matters in life is to not bullshit yourself. Deep in the dead of night, you should know how you felt. You should know that you didn't do the right thing. You should know that despite everybody saying it, you did the right thing. Hold that. I cannot tell you what a clear conscience. You'll have clear eyes, you'll be confident, and you won't really care about what the world thinks. If you do these 2 little things, your best friend at your funeral and at the dead of night, to admit to yourself. Doesn't matter if you don't admit to anybody else.
No, I mean, it's wonderful what you just said there. And, yes, we've given, maybe some of you watching this right now would think, God, this is deeper than I thought or anticipated. And normally we discuss lighter stuff. But if there is a time for reflection, it is now, right? You have so much time for yourself. You can't help but even the most emotionally shallow of you, and you know who you are, know that you had enough time to actually think about who you are and what you are. But if I am to just bring it down to questions.
Yes, let's do that.
Right?
Let's do that.
Since there would be questions. And I mean, me as a young professional at the age of 30 is wondering, what about my field? I used to boast and gloat and say, oh, cricket will go on round the year, so I'll always have a job. I don't need to worry. And suddenly this pandemic and these times have shown you, what really matters. And there could be very many opportunities. There could be very many fields that are rendered redundant. There could be enough parents saying, now, look, I told you, only doctors are in demand now. And that was essentially, or maybe only people in the field of science are actually valued right now. Every business has suffered. Every creative field seems to have suffered. Film and television is thrown into turmoil, no shoots, whatnot. But you make that about what an opportunity, right? Create your own content, create your own music, create your own, I'd like for you to tell us and tell everyone listening in now that whether they need to worry about certain fields not having the sort of future that they anticipated, whether
Sure.
the world has messed that up for them, or whether there is in fact more hope than there ever was. What do you honestly make of that?
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic time. Not this, just post this. There's only good news. I'll explain. First, this pandemic will be over in a year's time. It will be over in less than a year's time. There's no question about it. And believe me, life will go completely back to normal. We will be vaccinated and we'll be fine.
Yep.
I truly believe life will go completely back to normal. But there will be another rich vein of opportunity open to all you people, which we never had. Ronak and I never had. What's happened with the pandemic is we had to change everything to online.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're working in a bank, you're working online, you're working at home. If you're trying to make a short film, you're making it from home online. If you're wanting to follow football, you're having to play a virtual football league online. If you want to take part in a music concert, you're doing it from home online. Do you think these things will vanish once the pandemic vanishes? No. If you're working for a bank, they will say 4 days a week you can work at home, you can work in the office, and 2 days a week you drive 3.5 hours from Flora Fountain to Andheri and come to work. You don't have to come every day. There'll be that. Second, if you're going to be watching the IPL on television, you can, or going to the stadium to see a game, you can also play the IPL game virtual online. Because all the sports live events are going to have strong, interesting online competitions happening, which, why should they give it up just because they had it during the pandemic? Yeah. They will further make it more sophisticated and give it open to you. So my bottom line is this: we will be living hybrid lives. Sure. Our work will be online and physical. Our enjoyment will be online and physical. We will stick to Netflix, but we will also go to the theater. So it will not be one or the other. So if that is going to be the case, if you want to work in sport and you're a non-sporty, geeky guy, you can get onto the online division of the EPL and make millions out there designing stuff for their online division, which will be as big as the live property going forward. Yeah. If you want to make money as a banker and you don't really fancy the whole idea of, getting in there and you're not a great people's person, let's say, you can impress them with your work by saying, listen, half the time I'll stay at home, but I will be giving stuff to you. And earlier they would have said, who does that? Come to work or be fired. Now they'll turn around and say, you know what? You're not a very socially, we don't want to hang out with you after work. So you stay home and you work. But I'm not joking. Jokes aside, Ronak, this is going to create a slew of opportunities that didn't exist before for people who want to work at home, for people who want to practice the online, people who want to work virtually, people who want to be in fields that were earlier only live, like sport, for example, like cinema, for example, and then there'll be online stuff that's happening. And they're like, yeah, let's do this. Why can't we keep making short films online virtually without moving? Let them coexist alongside. We've had the biggest film festivals in the world happening online, and they're getting great eyeballs. So next time the Berlin Film Festival will have its film festival in Berlin, but there'll be all the online stuff happening which they never cared about before. Yeah. So who's going to produce that content?
Yeah. So I guess that's it. It's the sense of optimism that I wanted everyone to end with. And at the same time, also perhaps answer deeper questions that may somewhat be within you, which perhaps no one finds the route to find answers to. And I hope Rahul, through what he said, has helped you with that. And I couldn't agree more about just don't let go of what you're passionate about.
Oh, the future is very bright, Ronak.
Yeah.
Just wait these 9 months and you watch. The opportunities that will throw up will be more than they were before.
If anything, the lockdown has made people work on their patience, no matter how they are. So if anything, you can back this out just a few more months if you need to. And, like we've established, you guys have a lot more time on your hands. And I look at myself at 30 and think, even if I am to restart, I can still start over now. Perhaps someone who's 45, 50, 55 in a professional field or in the service field might find it that much harder. So you guys
Thanks, Ronak. Thank you very much.
I don't even count you as that. Do you know how many steps I've done up and down in the lockdown? I don't even want to tell you. There's a good reason why the screen ends here. So anyway, let's leave that there. The last thing I just want to point out is a big shout out to the teachers that are also watching this, the most understated profession perhaps in the world. And 3 days after Teachers' Days when we're recording this for the annual World Summit. And I know I have a 3-year-old niece and a 7-year-old nephew, and I do know how their teachers have had to, for them, their world's turned upside down. They've got to be the ones to get tech savvy overnight. And I believe not many of them are. They've had to find the hardest job of keeping a Zoom class of 40 or 50 attentive. I mean, I can't imagine what that would be like. It's hard enough in a classroom. But I guess
I'd like to join you, Ronak. I'd like to join you.
That's why I wanted a word from you as well. Perhaps a new learning for them. Maybe now they can tell the management going forward. Perhaps we can manage 3 days of work from home, add to the holidays, longer weekends. I don't know if that would be part of the teacher's new normal.
Well, I think that, and I've been to a couple of schools.
Yeah.
One was a day school and one was a boarding school, which is obviously shut down. But talking to all the teachers who've been there, who've been conducting online classes, and I can tell you this, Ronak, the dedication is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The dedication to reinvent yourself at 50 and to become an effective online communicator. The guilt at not having heard that one child who is not assertive online.
Yeah.
There's a child sitting in the front row, you can't ignore them. But online, you tend to, who's not assertive enough. The dedication and the desire to educate and to be unforgettable or a seminal influence on those children's lives is just amazing. I mean, teachers are, God, Ronak, you and I are just nothing compared to that kind of dedication and idealism and just duty, a sense of duty that teachers have. So it's also been fairly lucrative for many teachers who've been doing a lot of online classes in the times that, because they had a lot of free time. So I'm glad that teachers had income coming in when I didn't, for certain. But I'm so glad that teachers could do it, because doctors and teachers, when it comes down to the crunch, when society has to survive, who do we look to?
Yeah.
The people who clean our streets, the people who keep the hospitals open, and the people who keep our children stimulated.
Sure. I couldn't agree more. For those of you, I'm not trying to promote my Twitter following, but I'm an outspoken liberal voice on everything that annoys me in the world. And trust me, there is so much. And I tend to think sometimes when I watch TV news, which I watch for a few minutes only, just to make sure that I know, what's going on. But everyone would agree with what the sentiment would be when you watch TV news. And I just think, imagine what those teachers must be thinking that taught these guys. Sleeping at night. This was my student. I tried to give him a sense of right and wrong. It vanishes. And it comes back to everything Rahul has said in the last hour or so. Be honest with yourself. Look, forget everybody else. Think about what your best friend would want to say about you. All those reflections. And I think on that note, I'll look to conclude. I did bring up that one thing, I can't wait for the sports fields to open. I can't wait for the IPL to come out. I can't wait for these kids watching us to resume football, to resume basketball, to just have that experience of the outdoors. So, I mean, as a sportsman, I think you're looking forward to that as well. As much as you enjoy the stairs, I don't think it'll match up to the open fields whenever you get the chance.
The ban on sport has been lifted, Ronak.
Yeah, so the
I'm back.
To open up. You're back.
I'm back on the fields. I'm back. I'm playing rugby. I played rugby day before yesterday.
So brilliant. I'm waiting for you guys to hit the fields again, and may you appreciate how much how wonderful that is to be in person again, to have this annual World Summit in person, perhaps in a year's time, and no doubt with the presence of Rahul Bose, who can never be
there with his walking stick and his wig.
I've plugged in the invitation to next year's AWS somehow, so done the school's work for us. Rahul's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. Thank you so much. It's helped me. I'm sure it'll help a number of the students of Jamnabai and of the other schools participating, watching. So I couldn't thank you enough, and I wish you the very best of health and happiness going forward, and I hope we catch up again soon.
Thanks, Ronak. Thank you for having me on. Lots of love and lots of luck to Zinat and her team and everybody at the school, and obviously to all the girls and boys. Cheers.
Brilliant. Thank you so much to Rahul, and all the best to you guys. Have a wonderful Jamnabai NFC School ISC Annual World Summit, and may things only get better from here.
A model United Nations is an ideal platform to demonstrate your qualities. Bring to the fore your hidden potential. Increase your knowledge about diplomacy and international relations. Investigate, deliberate, and find solutions to every challenging international issue. If you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives. At AWS, we aspire to provide opportunities to young minds who can try to fill the shoes of leaders of the largest of nations.
It is said that if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you're a leader. With over 300 delegates from various schools and junior colleges coming together on this virtual platform, we promise you one of the most exciting experiences of your lives. With this edition of the Annual World Summit 2020, we exhort you to come, see, conquer.
Delegates, it gives us immense pleasure to introduce to you the core committee of Annual World Summit 2020. First up, we have the United Nations Environmental Programme. Serving as chairperson, Josh Rambia. Vice chairperson, Juhi Kajaria. Moderator, Prachi Joshi. And rapporteur, Vedika Maji. Please welcome the United Nations Human Rights Council. Chairperson, Mishal Bhatena. Vice Chairperson, Lanishka Gangvani. Moderator, Priyanka Srivastava. Rapporteur, Ananya Chaudhary.
Next we have the Disarmament and International Security Committee. Chairperson, Aryan Shah. Vice Chairperson, Shauna Chandra. Moderator, Kashish Jain. And Rapporteur, Arush Das. Now we have the International Criminal Police Organization. Chairperson, Jay Mirchandani. Vice Chairperson, Friana Buhariwala. Moderator, Ishan Yalorkar. Rapporteur, Dhruv Dhawan.
Presenting the Indian Parliament. Chairperson, Aryan Sinha. Vice Chairperson, Maisha Tib. Moderator, Khushi Madan. Rapporteur, Khushi Panda. Next, we have the European Union. Chairperson, Aryan Hosangri. Vice Chairperson, Kunj Khanna. Moderator, Preksha Rumta. Rapporteur, Eklavya Sethi.
Please welcome the United Nations Security Council. Chairperson, Bani Kaur Sachar. Vice Chairperson, Anjana Dhar. Moderator, Devam Shah. And Rapporteur, Ridanj Gara. We present to you the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime. Chairperson, Rahel Braganza. Vice Chairperson, Radhika Tibrewal. Moderator, Vedika Makhija. And Rapporteur, Arhan Roy Chaudhary. We present to you the departments that have been working behind the scenes. The administrative team, head Janvi Bali. Subheads, Rohan Raghavan and Pratik Balani. The public relations team, head Anusha Kala. Subheads, Ishan Salian, Asmi Shah, Arshita Dwivedi and Inaya Modak. The press team, head Avril Dias. Subheads, Reena D'Souza, Vidhi Shah and Anagha Venkatagiri.
I now introduce to you the Secretariat of the Annual World Summit 2020. The Secretary General, Arnav Deshpande. The Deputy Secretary General, Shashwati Deshmukh. The Under Secretary General, Jayaditya Khemani. A warm welcome to all of you young, aspiring and enthusiastic delegates who are here to shape the future.
On this note, it is with great pride and honor that I, Arnav Deshpande, Secretary General of Annual World Summit 2020, declare the conference open.
Good morning to one and all present here today. To begin with, I would like to thank the Almighty for the continuous blessings showered on our students of Jamnabai Nasi School. working with the ISC students for this 9th edition of the Annual World Summit 2020 has been an exhilarating experience. Though we are going through challenging times, preparing for AWS was not much of a challenge. The graph of the level of excellence and the use of technology has been rising steeply over the years. We express our deepest respect and gratitude to Managing Trustee Shri Jairaj Thakkar and the Board of Trustees for encouraging us to empower our students to experience leadership roles early in life, thus helping to build their personality and ensuring holistic development. We sincerely appreciate their involvement in every aspect of the school's progress and redefining education. The backbone of our educational excellence is the unconditional dedication and commitment of our dynamic trustee, Shri Sujay Jairaj. Words will never do him justice, for he speaks eloquently through the wisdom of his actions. His encouragement and enthusiasm continues to enrich us and drives us to do great deeds in turn. Thank you, sir. A big thank you to our dear principal, Miss Zeenat Bojaboy and the core team. Miss Zeenat Bojaboy is an exemplary reader. She inspires us to look at life differently and empowers our young students to forge ahead. My heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Rahul Bose. Your presence today is a great source of motivation to us and is a manifestation of the significance that our school attaches to quality augmentation. Thank you, Ronak. You are always passionate about AWS. Thank you for channelizing the energies of the youth into working so wholeheartedly for Cascades and other NIA events. I thank all the ex-AWS board members for raising the standard of the event year after year. I would sincerely like to acknowledge the energetic efforts of the executive board members as well as all the students of the Annual World Summit 2020. It is incredible how much one can accomplish when it doesn't matter who gets the credit. There is no I in teamwork. The students of the ISC have worked as a single force, though separated by social distancing, to make this event happen. Thank you, students. I wish to thank all my colleagues. You are the real assets, as you help and guide students to grow up into outstanding citizens. Delegates of the Annual World Summit 2020, the next 2 days will give you an opportunity to explore the world of diplomacy and international relations. We welcome you to come, see, conquer, and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Before we move ahead, I would like to introduce to you the most unique element of Annual World Summit 2020, the Council of the Elite, a special 1 hour long committee for those delegates who perform exceptionally well. One delegate will be chosen from each committee. So if you want to be a part of this council, this is your chance. The agenda for this year's Council of the Elite will be revealed later in the day.
Delegates, kindly make a note of the instructions that are to be followed. Attendance is compulsory. All delegates are expected to attend every session of committee on both the days, including the opening and closing ceremonies. Certificates will be withheld for failure to adhere to attendance requirements. All delegates must be dressed in formal clothing for this event. No casual clothes or sleeveless clothing is permitted. Delegates are expected to be dressed smartly and wear a blazer at all times. All delegates must adjust their web cameras such that they are in frame and clearly visible. Care must be taken to ensure that they are audible when they speak. Decorum must be maintained without exception at all times. If any delegate is found to be disrupting the committee, they will be barred. Wait until others have finished before you start speaking. This is a serious conference, and care must be taken to ensure the highest standards. Finally, if any delegate is experiencing technical difficulties, they are requested to bring it to the notice of JNS Khemani, Pratik Balani, or Ishan Salve. We welcome you once again, wishing you a fruitful and lively day one of the summit. We will begin at 11 a.m. sharp with the first round of discussions. Thank you.